We're excited to announce the first ever, first of its kind higher education podcast conference, brought to you by Edu Alliance, the EdUp Experience, and Podium. This is happening Saturday, July 12th at the University of Illinois Chicago campus. This is an in-person event, one day only, the first of its kind. This is for people working in and around higher education who are interested in starting a podcast, who may have a podcast, want to learn more about podcasting. So if you want to be there, please go to higheredpodcon.com. That's higheredpodcon.com to learn how you can get your early bird registration, see who the keynote will be, and how you can submit proposals to be a part of this amazing inaugural conference. So that, again, go to higheredpodcon.com to learn more.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to Ed Up on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode, and I want to tell the audience that it is happening. It is happening. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Well, I'm talking about Higher Ed PodCon. Yes, Higher Ed PodCon. Elvin and I, we're sitting around. We've done all these podcasts. We talk to people all across higher education, and all different types of people are podcasting. When you think about who's a higher ed podcaster, who comes to mind as that persona? Is it a college president? Because there's college presidents that podcast. It is a faculty member. Is it somebody that runs an association? There's lots of podcasting around higher ed. So we said, let's throw a conference devoted to higher ed podcasting. It's happening in Chicago, Illinois on July 12th, 2025. We have over 500 people that have expressed interest in attending. Registrations are coming in like crazy, and we're self-funding our own higher ed podcasting conference since it's never been done before. We hope you will consider joining us. You can go to Higher Ed PodCon. We made it as easy as possible. higheredpodcon.com for more information. The schedule is posted in there. The speaker lineup and those that are doing podcast is really incredible. So take a look. Hope to see you there. All right. Now with the self-boosting announcement out of the way, I'll get to my first time guest co-host. We've been looking forward to this. I know I have. Anytime I can get a first-time guest co-host on the podcast, it's fun for me because I get to see, I have a tally, running tally, see how many mistakes they make. But this guy, he's a medical doctor and a psychiatrist, so I feel like he's going to analyze me instead of me analyzing him. And so I'm not sure how I feel about that, but we're going to get through it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Dr. Andrew Kim. He's Director of Psychiatry at Timely Care. Andrew, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Joe. I'm Andrew Kim, Director of Psychiatry at Timely Care, one of the leaders in telehealth in the higher ed space. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I see you have a live on-air sign behind you, so this may not be your first time doing something like this. Is that true?
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm pretty used to doing live streams on YouTube, Instagram, all the different social media platforms. So,
you know, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but mental health is still a thing. Everybody sort of thought it was ending. It's not.
Oh, no, it's here. It's here to stay. And that's why, folks like, President, Perez over there that we'll talk to, it takes teamwork across the board. I mean, it's the troops on the ground with clinicians, social workers, telehealth platforms like ourselves, peer support. It's teamwork to problem solve this, to just help all the students on all the different campuses. So.
Much like many of my first-time guest co-hosts I've had on the podcast, you made a critical mistake, Andrew, but one that we forgive so often, and that's saying the name of the guest before I get to introduce them, but it does move it along. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Dr. Steve Perez. He is the president at Chico State. Steve, welcome a little prematurely to an Ed Up mic, but you're here now.
Thank you, Joe. I'm looking forward to it, and thank you for the kind introduction, Andrew. It was very nice, and I'm intrigued by the podcast con you're going to do. I don't know what costumes do people wear to something like that.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't think there's any cosplays, but who knows? We may have a couple microphones. And what does a higher ed podcaster look like? I'm not sure. We're gonna have some fun with it, though. There's no doubt about that. But today's all about you, Steve, and the work that you're doing at Chico State. Why don't you level set for us? Assume there's somebody listening right now that has not heard of Chico State. Where are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
Yeah, thank you. So I have the privilege of serving as a president here at Chico State. We're one of the 23 campuses, universities as part of the California State University system. We have about 460,000 students in the entire system. 14,500 of them are students here at Chico State. We're a residential campus. We are in what we call the North State, or the far northern part of California, about 100 miles north of Sacramento. And our region is very large. Our service region is about the size of the state of Maine, but also sparsely populated. So we draw 75%-ish of our students from the rest of the state of California or outside the state. So most of our students come from somewhere else and move here to Chico, and we think we're very lucky we get to provide a real college experience for them in a small town, about 100,000 people in Chico, and in a relatively rural agricultural area in a beautiful part of the state.
Thanks for that background, Andrew. I'll pass it to you in a second. But, the word rural said in any kind of sentence with California, people don't really connect those dots well together, because when you're thinking about California, southern, northern, you're thinking about dense populations. Give us a little bit more of the landscape. And when you say rural, like, what should we be thinking about?
Sure. And you're absolutely right. I've lived all over the state of California: San Diego, Los Angeles area, Bay Area, Sacramento area, and experienced all those things: beaches, mountains, snow, rivers, everything. But much of the actual landmass of California is agricultural. Central Valley, we're the far northern part of the valley of the state. You can see the Sierra Nevadas from here, and so we're just on the edge of a pretty flat valley that gets some rolling hills, a lot of grasslands, a lot of oak trees. We grow a lot of rice. We grow almonds or almonds, both kinds here in Chico. We grow walnuts, a lot of ranchers up here. And Chico's, like I said, a really, really nice small town. We've got an ecological reserve that's connected to the university, about 8,000 acres, which abuts a really nice city park called Bidwell Park, where you go hiking and all sorts of things. It's a really, really beautiful part of the state.
So is it almonds or almonds?
It all depends on who you're talking to. Almonds or almonds?
What do you think, Andrew?
More so than almonds, I was sold. I felt like I was listening to a travel promo. I'm like, why don't I live in that area right now? That was a great description.
Thank you, Andrew. And it's a good question. You're more than welcome. It's a beautiful place.
I'm in Illinois, so between the months of November till just about late April, I ask myself, why do I still live in Illinois? Because it's winter and it's hot. Those are the two seasons. And
we'll be hot in the summer, but we won't be humid like you all will.
Does that environment present enrollment or retention challenges that maybe some of the other Cal states don't experience in their urban areas?
The difference is, prior to being here at Chico State, I served as the interim president at San Jose State, and I worked at Sacramento State for about 20 years. And since we bring most of our students, as I said, about 75% of them from outside of our area, our challenges are different. We've got to convince students to move here, to make the choice to come and live in Chico, whereas we had a higher percent of our population in the other CSUs that I've worked at could live at home and could stay at home. And so there are different challenges. But one of the benefits is we have our students here a good part of the time, and we can interact with them pretty significantly. A large percent, I'm going to say about 90% of our students live within a mile or two of campus. And so we do get a really nice college environment where students are around each other a lot. They're around us a lot, around downtown and Chico quite a bit. And so when it comes to retention, when we're trying to build connections with our students and have them build connections with the university, I think we have an advantage. When it comes to recruitment, we've got to go out and get them from a bigger catchment area than we would otherwise.
Yeah, it's a unique, interesting environment. Retention's so important, but you have to have defined strategies on the enrollment piece. You also have to provide the right services, if you will, Andrew, the right timely care, if you will, to make sure that you retain those students, because everybody needs something different right now. I mean, we're in one heck of a world where everything's so individualized, including what we need to get through a day.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, to the points that were being made, knowing It's a challenge. It's an exciting and it's a challenging time in a student's life. You're starting a new chapter. You are carving out your own individual identity separate from the family unit. But it also means, like as was stated, many of these students are moving from out of state. It's a new environment, got to settle in, new routines, new culture, getting to make new connections, and that excitement can come along with stress. It could come along with anxiety. It could come along with some pressures. So, and again, as back to my earlier statement, I'm glad that Chico State has wonderful services on the ground. They're utilizing and tapping into resources like Timely Care to offer telehealth. And I think it's trying to understand and meeting each individual student's needs, whether it be homesickness, whether it be having challenges making friends, academic struggles. I mean, it's across the board, and it's all about trying to understand each person's unique needs and trying to support them on that journey to make them become Chico State alums and to stick around and to promote that retention with others around them. So,
yeah, Andrew, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry, Joey.
No, go ahead.
It is interesting because it is individualistic. Each of our students has individual needs, and how we interact with them and how we try to support them. We try very hard to say, what do you need? How can we help you? I had a student, when I served as provost a while back at Sacramento State, I had a student tell me, Mr. Perez, 4 months ago, we had to raise our hand to go to the bathroom in class when we were in high school, and now you expect us to know how to do everything. And it really it rung true to me that we need to be constantly thinking about what do our students need, are they adjusting, and at the same time help them develop to be able to make all those choices and all those decisions as they grow up.
Well, that's a great example. That's a great example because I think it's something you, I, Joe here, we might take for granted, but it's to go from spending 8 hours a day in a high school setting saying you sit here during this time, the bell rings, now you're allowed to walk over there, now you sit down over here, this is when you get to eat, and all those constraints kind of melt away, and it's like create your schedule.
Yeah.
Make your own credits, make sure you just meet the requirements at the end of the X amount of years. Tailor the schedule how you'd like and stay on top of your work. For some thrive and love that, and for others it's a huge change. We take it for granted, but that mundane change of you have a lot more independence and freedom, it could be exciting and also nerve-wracking at the same time for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Nailed it.
Do your laundry. That'll get you.
Oh.
Did whites go with colors? I don't know the answer still.
I'm still struggling with that one.
Steve, I want to read something about you because I was reading about you today. I had to read it like 3 times just to make sure I got it right.
Let's see.
So during your time teaching, you taught macroeconomics at all levels, as well as econometrics, sports economics, labor economics, and mathematics for economists. And your research explores most macroeconomic topics, but a specific interest in evaluating the ability of econometric techniques to discover the truth, issues, and causality in macroeconomics and sports economics. Economics. You're in an institution. So is it safe to say that you know your balance sheet pretty well? If
I've got a sense, I've got a sense of what our budget looks like and what our budget challenges are, and they are many. And we're working through them very hard collaboratively at the university.
That's an uncommon, not that people don't teach economics, right? That's what it is, but it's not common for somebody with an economic background or that has taught economics so robustly to be a college president. Usually it's a academic background, teaching, maybe in the liberal arts or have been a dean or something, not necessarily in the dollars and cents so intimately. Then you get in to a college or university and you go, oh, wait a second. I have revenues, I have expenses, and right now expenses are exceeding revenues. I'm not getting the funding I wanted. What do I do? I got all these people I got to worry about now, and they don't like to change. So now am I hampered? Am I hindered? Can I move forward? How do you navigate this stuff and while keeping that sort of bullseye on the finances?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. Another way I've been asked a similar type of question is, what keeps me up at night? Right? Is it our budget? Is it our enrollment? The truth is, what keeps me and every president I know, what keeps us up at night is the health and well-being of our students, the health and well-being of our colleagues that we get to work with. And that's certainly impacted by our ability to provide resources or provide services, which is impacted by our budget. And I gave a commencement speech one time, and I was talking about, like, how do you make decisions and how do you make choices? And people think some things are really hard. Most choices aren't that hard. Carrying them out is, but as long as we're focused on what's best for our students, what's best for our colleagues, and for us as a regional comprehensive university, how do we benefit our region? As long as we're focused on those things, the decisions are pretty straightforward. Again, it's carrying them out that's tricky. Our budget isn't, we don't have as many resources as we have expenses. We have a projected deficit, and there's two ways to balance it. You spend less or you bring in more. And we're working on both sides. We're trying to be as efficient and effective at using our resources as we possibly can, while minimizing the impact on our students and our colleagues, and we're trying to bring in more students because that's our job, and that's what's fun about being in a university.
Tough. It's not an easy job these days, you know.
It's no, it's a challenge for any number of reasons, and I read Higher Ed, Inside Higher Ed, Chronicle of Higher Ed, and I've read the headlines. Talk to the president of a university's worst job in the country, and it's just not true. I'd argue it's the best job in the country. You're talking to me on the morning after we did a commencement last night. About over 600 students graduated. I got another one tonight to do where we'll probably do another 600 or so students. Getting to interact with the people. Our students are so smart, so hardworking, so resilient, so fun to be around, and the people that we do it with are so creative and caring and dedicated. We get to do really, really great things. So it's hard, but it's well worth it.
Amazing. Yeah, and I really want to pause here, right? Because to me, I want to hear this firsthand from you. It's like, when you're in that position and you see all these students who are at commencement and had this journey, they're kind of ending this chapter, moving on to grad school, jobs. Like, when you see that as a president, like you did yesterday, you might have to do it again later today. Like, what goes through your mind? What are the emotions? What goes through your mind when you see kind of that ending of that chapter of them matriculating and graduating? Just want to hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, Andrew, think of any good emotion you could possibly think of. That's what we have. Right? It's joy, pride, gratitude. It makes you tear up at times. Handful of these students I know pretty well. Most of them I've seen pretty frequently. I walk around campus a lot. Their parents, their families, their supporters are there, and they're crying. And a good percentage of our students are first-gen students. So they're the first in their family to graduate. Even still, right? I've been doing this for 30 years, and for 15 or so of them, I've been going to a lot of commencements, and we ask, how many of you are first gen? And a good percent stand up. It's moving. And so every good elation, happcomment, any good emotion you can think of, it's overwhelming. It really is fantastic.
I actually have a recording of you, I think, from the comment. Here, let me see if I have it. Oh, yeah. I mean, he asked for your thoughts inside, but that was an outside thought.
Yeah, that's not impossible. That actually is me.
One thing, Andrew, and then I'll pass it back to you, but I was talking to a president yesterday, and one of the things that he brought up was he was talking about commencement too, that amidst all of the disruption at the federal level that we're seeing, it was really important right now to have these commencements. Like, the timing couldn't have been better, to sort of remind us all what the purpose is of our work. And Andrew, you'll appreciate this too. He was talking about how difficult it is for employees and for staff to look at what's happening around us objectively, because we have both the professional and then the personal view on what's taking place. And we're bringing both of those to work, the professional view and the personal view. And it's taking away somewhat from what the purpose of higher education is, which is to serve the student, because we're thinking about all these other things it's a really interesting case study right now on how we keep the focus. So I thought I'd bring that up, Steve, because you have to lead that focus. And then, Andrew, just the dynamic of the dissonance that could be happening for employees, not just the students.
Yeah, it is. This is the perfect time to have commencement. You're absolutely right. We need some good news at times, and we need to be reminded of how great of an opportunity and a privilege that we have to be able to do these things. And everybody does bring all of that to work every day. What we get to do here, I'm really proud of our faculty and our staff. They really, really care. They care a lot. They care about each other. They care about our students. The hard part about that, when you're a caring person, when you're empathetic, all of those challenges and all of those potentially negative things that are impacting us, you feel it deeply, and that's a hard weight to carry a lot of times. So the more caring and the more nurturing that we are, the harder it is to experience all those things. But that's what builds a really great climate and a really great campus community.
Andrew, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I don't think I could have said it any better than that. I mean, even in my work, I was seeing patients this morning, and I can't tell you as of late, these past few months, it is very normal on a typical work day for me. I split my duties between seeing students across I see patients in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. So I get a flavor of what's going on across all the different campuses that we work with. And it is pretty typical as of late where I get students at least 3-4 a day, where one of their primary concerns are things that are happening in the political climate. I might be an international student. Is it okay for me to even travel and go back home and come back? Will that be a hassle? Is it even worth it? What's going on with funding? For research I'm doing with principal investigators on campus, what's happening with funding for internships, for, jobs in the future? Like, anxiety is quite high, very tied to political climates. There's even inherent anxiety about, are you safe for me to talk to? Is this a place where I can actually open up and talk about my vulnerabilities? What's your view? What's your stance? How do I know you're not judging me in a certain way? And, I think to Steve's point, it's, I think as professionals, it's teachers, administrators, clinicians that work on these campuses, there's no other way to say it. We have to connect with humans on an individual basis and just convey to them, I am here to support you. I think what is wonderful, even to this day, right now, what's wonderful about America is that we have the freedom to express ourselves. We have the freedom to have our opinions, but we should still be able to bond together when it comes to human decency.
You'd think.
It's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
It's okay to have different opinions.
Absolutely.
We need to be we have to, in fact, have different opinions and disagree.
Yeah.
But we got to do it in a way that we care about each other and respect each other.
Exactly. And I think what I see across the campuses and when I collaborate with campus counseling centers, campus administrators like Steve, is at least with whatever's within our influence, I get a sense that that's what we're fostering, being able to rise above differences to try to focus on solutions rather than fostering fear-mongering, anxiety, antagonism. So I know it sounds rather vague and corny, but that's where it starts. We have to start at an individual level, and you hope that has a trickle effect to the community. So I think it just starts at the individual level with each person, each professional trying to make a difference on a one-on-one level.
Steve, this is a really interesting conversation because we as we talk and we see the change happening at the federal level, whatever, it sort of underscores the human emotion and how important it is to be human right now amidst what is an atomic bomb of disruption called artificial intelligence, right? We have, everything's going to be automated. We have to implement AI, put it here, put it there. And then at the same time, we need to teach more human skills. We have to make sure that everybody can talk to each other and not just a bot. That's a delicate balance because as a college president, you're working multiple angles. You've got the students who have like an aura of AI around them. They're coming in with an expectation that they just pick up something on their phone and get to use it. And if things aren't that easy, I'm not going to do it. You have faculty where you're going, implement AI for teaching and learning, or don't. And the faculty are saying yes, and some are saying no, or so everybody's in between. You have potentially a board saying we need more AI adoption to drive efficiency in the business model of trustees. You have donors. You have so many constituencies, and now dealing with not only just the human in teaching and learning, but how AI augments or affects that. That is a tall task for administrators, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people. It's a tall task to figure out the fit. How do you think about AI, teaching and learning, the people skills, all rolled up together?
Yeah, that's a
Higher Ed PodCon is coming. Go to higheredpodcon.com. That's higheredpodcon.com to learn more.
That's the question right now in a lot of ways of how we evolve. The way I think about it is we got to trust our people. We got to trust our faculty. We got to trust our people that are, what they come to work for is to, as you talked about, I taught economics. I taught all kinds of different classes, and I did it at a time when we were transitioning from regular face-to-face. I did a lot of online classes. I did hybrid classes. I started using online textbooks and then evolved into using those books and other tools that were online. And this is a similar, although I think much more disruptive change in how we do things. I try to imagine what it's like to be somebody in the classroom right now, figuring out how do I prepare my students for a new world with a new tool that's going to change how we interact and how we do things. That's a big challenge. And as you said, some are want to take it on, and others want to keep doing things the way they've been doing, and that there's room for all of that. But it is our responsibility to figure out how do we prepare our students to go out into the world? How do we help them develop the skills that they want to develop into a world that's going to be very different than the one we grew up in because of AI? And how do we incorporate that into our curriculum? How do we incorporate it into what they experience? And then the other side of it, as you said, is how we incorporate it into how we do things. We've got more work here than we have people in a lot of ways. Our people are overworked. How can we take some of the weight off of their shoulders and do it in ways that make their jobs easier? That's what we're looking to try to do, at least. But this is a challenge.
You know, the different conversation, different president. We were talking about how AI also has the potential to lull you to sleep if you're not watching it, right? And we were talking about, it was his example. He was talking about how he uses Google, whatever map program, and he's going somewhere and realizes he doesn't know how to get around his own area because everywhere we go, he's using the map. And I had this moment because I'm driving my daughter to soccer practice every day. It's 4 miles from my house, and I can't tell you how the heck to get there because every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I follow the map. And I'm like, wait, I've been lulled to sleep. I literally don't know how to get around in my own area because I've relied on this, what is a baseline AI-generated map program. And now I need to think about, now I'm stopping. I'm like, I need landmarks. I need to start thinking critically again. So I was like, whoa, wait a minute. We could be lulled to sleep if we're not careful.
Yeah. And I guess I would go back to something Andrew was talking about. We still need humans in the room. We still need to be able to think. We still need to be able to care for each other. That's what I tend to thrive on. I'm a bit of an extrovert. I like to be around people. I like to interact with people. And for us to continue to move forward as a society, as a community, we're going to need to be able to interact with each other. And it is that one-on-one interaction. I think that really makes a difference and keeps us from being lulled to sleep, maybe.
Andrew, you're going to have somebody in there that talks someday that's talking about having better conversations with their AI bot than with humans.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating in the realm of healthcare and even healthcare on, college campuses, because I think just like Steve said, there's got to be a balance, right? Because here's an example where I do think AI could definitely help. I think both the clinician, whether it be a therapist, psychiatrist, interaction with a patient, I think it'll improve both experiences. When I'm meeting a patient for the first time, I can tell you in my first hour intake, we probably spend a good 20 minutes going over rather rudimentary background information. So where did you grow up? How many brothers and sisters did you have? Did you grow up with one parent, both parents? When did you move here, et cetera? And if you think about that, is that really scaling my skills up to the highest potential during that 1 hour session, right? I bet we could have better utility if I can spend those 20, 30 minutes really dissecting the nuance of their psychological distress and their anxiety and their trauma history versus asking mundane demographic info. Again, I'm not dismissing the relevance of that, but I also trust that a 20-some-year-old grad student with the aid of software could probably already compile all that for me so that I can look at that and say, okay, I'm going to take the relevant pieces of information, and now we have an extra 20 minutes to maximize our time together to really dig deeper versus spending a time with kind of more superficial level information, right? And I do believe there's a way where AI can kind of leverage those kind of concepts to even make the student experience in these healthcare interactions on campus that much more efficient for the on-campus staff at Chico State, other counseling centers. Then that will translate to efficiency, but not even just efficiency, better connection on a human level, because you can now focus on that versus data collection, right? And I think where there's a danger is making the assumption that ChatGPT and all these folks are going to replace that human element in the room. And I do think there are ways where we can have software-driven therapy that's guided, that can offer homework assignments, skills, things that can aid students, that can lower the bar for easier access. So there's definitely, a place for it, but I don't know that it's ever going to replace the human element of connecting human to human. So it's just about balance and trying to find where is that right fit. And I do think what's crucial is you need smart and humanistic leaders to help guide that decision-making of where is that balance, whether it be for educational purposes, for healthcare purposes. It's an interesting era that we're living in right now. So,
How does that translate to higher ed? That thought, Steve? Because look at your cabinet or your Maine administrators. Do you have some early adopters with AI where people are trying to implement something in their area because they see it? And you have others that are going, well, let me wait to see what happens with Joe over there and see if he fails first before I jump in on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you give us some insight into the dynamics of an administrative team right now?
Sure. And so I would say take any of the cabinet members. So vice president of, say, student affairs. We've got a vice president of information technology, and she's really talented, really skilled, and we've got the opportunity. Every one of our students and faculty and staff has access to AI, and we've got an instance for our campus, and so we can control what is happening in it, and we're trying to figure out how to use it. And so our VP of information technology is working with another one of our VPs, and going to one of their units and saying, let's brainstorm. Let's figure out how we might be able to do. Let's talk about what you do, how we might be able to make it easier for you. How can we, as Andrew was talking about, there's some things that we do over and over and over again that maybe we don't need to do over and over and over again, that somebody else could do, and free up our career counselors to talk about more personal things with a student about what they want to do. I've talked to other presidents where they've got AI doing mock interviews for students. And the beauty of it is you can do it over and over and over again and practice without having another person have to practice with you over again. So there's this dynamic of some units are going to embrace it more, be more creative about it. And those are the ones we're going to go to and say, well, let's give it a shot and see what we can do. And hopefully there'll be great outcomes, and others will see, well, this actually made everybody's life better, didn't make it worse, and then they're going to want to go in. So you go with early adopters, you feed the coalition of the willing, and try and produce things that are productive and helpful.
Victory!
There's also a coalition of the unwilling, and one of the things that comes up really often on this podcast with presidents is the key word concept of alignment, leadership alignment amongst the cabinet team, amongst your administrative team. And in a land or world right now where change is unavoidable, AI is just one area, but digital transformation, the evolution of the student, it's unavoidable how we have to move if we want to create equity and access and all those things. That this barrier of sort of institutional inertia always presents itself in our industry, whether it stems from shared governance or it stems from a stick in the mud or two, whatever it stems from. How important is the concept of alignment? Because you've worked at multiple institutions, so you've probably seen very aligned leadership teams and misaligned leadership teams. How powerful is alignment or lack thereof in execution? And what do you do to get better alignment?
Yeah, I think it's crucial. It's relatively straightforward to talk about what we do and why we do it. As I said earlier, we're a regional comprehensive university. Doesn't sound super exciting. To me, it really is. We no matter what evolutions we have, no matter what changes in technology, changes in our student body, all those things that you mentioned, no matter what happens, we're here to support our students' success. We're here to support our colleagues' innovation and success. And as a regional comprehensive, we're also here to support our region. And I truly believe we do it as well as anybody in the country here at Chico State. And so we're going to have alignment around that. And if you've been to any of my open forums, any of the speeches, anything, I say it over and over and over again. And I don't think there's any lack of clarity about what we do and why we do it here. And you bring people in that means something to them. As part of the California State University, I'm very proud of what we do. And I don't want to work in any other system or in any other way. This is why I come to work. And we bring other people around us that want to do the same thing. We're fortunate. As you said, there will be people that don't want to do a particular thing. And we go through a lengthy process to talk about something. As long as we all have the same alignment about what we're doing and why, we'll disagree. We might argue, but we'll be able to come to the right a conclusion that we can all move forward with. I hope that answers your question.
I think so. Yeah. So in short, you better be aligned. I mean, that's the truth, right? You better be, or else you just sort of aren't going to work there.
Or you're not going to be happy working here.
Yeah.
Right. If you have different values or different goals about what you want to achieve, then the university's mission, whatever university we're talking about, you're not going to be happy.
And it's a pretty well-crafted message. I mean, from the chancellor's office down, it's like, you know what Cal State stands for. All the institutions are aligned. Many amazing presidents that I've interviewed from the Cal State system on this podcast, all sort of speaking the same mission, same language. That's how a system is supposed to work.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly right.
But Andrew, and I don't know if you've come across this, Steve, too, but there are a lot of people who are leaving higher ed. I don't know if it's FAFSA simplification fallout. I don't know if it's federal regulatory fallout. The tenure of a college president has come down. I think it was close to 8 years, and it's like a shade over 4 right now. That's come down. You see a lot of administrator, to create sustainable change on a university from a psychological perspective, you do need some level of consistency of leadership. And when those leaders cycle out, especially in key areas, it crushes that change. And then who gets affected? The students. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Because it's not an uncommon thing to see the movement.
Yeah, no, you're happy. I'm happy to. I'll start. I've been a provost or a president, served in those roles since 2018. When I first became provost at Sacramento State, there was a really big fire up here near Chico, and it significantly impacted this region. But even 100 miles south where we were, we had to shut down because of smoke, and then we had COVID, and then we had a university that's had enrollment declines, and we're coming back. Our enrollment's growing again, but budget challenges. There hasn't been I don't know what a normal semester is for a university anymore, and I don't know that we're ever going to see one other than one that has some sort of disruption. And so I can understand why people are saying I've done enough, and moving to some other challenge along those lines, because those challenges are really are real. The beauty of what we do, though, is I got graduation tonight, and we're going to graduate 600 students, and I'm going to have all those positive emotions. So it really is while it is a time of upheaval, it's well worth it.
Yeah, and I'll say from the healthcare perspective in higher ed, Joe, I mean, what I've seen is, and I do think, in fact, this really relates back to the prior topic of alignment that we were talking about, where the alignment, the mission statement, the vision, it is absolutely crucial in higher ed of how that relates to higher ed healthcare. And here's a simple reason why. To be very blunt and frank, economics. Okay. Right now, I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. If I step out of higher ed right now and I just open up a shingle in a private practice and say, hey, I'm just going to start taking the higher end Blue Cross Blue Shield PPOs of the world and come see me as a Harvard trained psychiatrist easily. I don't even have to break a sweat. I'm probably going to make $100,000, $150,000 more without even breaking a sweat. Okay. And when that's what you're competing against, when you're trying to attract and retain psychiatrists, family medicine doctors for primary care, for counselors, therapists, social workers, that is a tough ask, of folks like Steve and other colleagues we work with in this, because that's what you're up against. And that's why we are seeing exits and departures and turnovers, and you are seeing schools who are trying to piecemeal and convince providers in the community, hey, do some locum tenens, be here for a year. Can you, offer some kind of contract with us with the local group practice to see some of our students at a contracted rate, but their capacity is full because they're already a busy, good practice, right? And this is tough. And so this is where it is serious that there has to be buy-in and belief. It can't just be a culture charter on a piece of paper, on a logo. There has to be buy-in with the belief of the mission statement of the institution. It's because, again, why am I here doing higher ed, healthcare and telehealth for the last 4 years? I can go get a huge raise right now. I actually believe in what we're doing. And kind of like what Steve's saying, strangely enough, I've been treating some of these students as freshmen, and now I have a whole wave of them graduating as seniors. Similarly, I mean, you saw me earlier. I was choking up even thinking about the commencement and all these different things, because I get to see it from a healthcare perspective. And gosh, that's what keeps me here. And if you don't have that alignment, you are at jeopardy of competing against a very competitive marketplace when it comes to healthcare staff retention, on these campuses. And it is a huge challenge. And we do see tons of turnover in this healthcare component of higher ed right now.
What do you do, Steve? I mean, give us the leadership secrets. What do you do to stay sane amidst some of the insanity that higher ed can bring you?
I walk around campus a lot. I try to get out of my office. I try to talk to as many people as I can, see what we're doing, and then just continually reflect on why we're doing it. It sounds cliche. It sounds corny, but it matters. I feel very fortunate that I get to work with, and I'll see them next week. We're going to a trustees meeting next week. I got 22 president colleagues in the system that we care about each other, so we can talk to each other. We can talk through what we're doing. I feel very fortunate to have my colleagues as my peers and friends, and that matters. But being around our students, being around our colleagues, and watching what they get to do. If you got some free time, I've got a YouTube page where our students are showing me how to do things. So I learned how to milk a cow, how to they build an off-road race vehicle, they build rockets, finance or an investment club. We got
I like that you led with milking a cow. Just for the record, after all that cool stuff, milking the cow came first.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, here's from our dairy.
Holding up a trucker hat of cow camouflage right now. Love it.
Yeah. We've got I just did one for our Chico Legal Information Clinic. It's I think the only undergraduate staffed legal clinic at a university in the country. Where our students go and give legal advice to people who are having trouble with a landlord or various different things, and get to talk to them about what they're doing. And it's awesome. We do really, really cool stuff at universities, and we do it right here at Chico. That's the best I can say is how you stay sane is go see the great things we're doing.
I like that.
One thing you made me think, but in my career, You know how every institution says, and we all say it, we're student first. I mean, it was like not a thing, and then it became a thing. And it's the how makes a big difference. I remember the institution I was working for, and we were always, everyone was saying it. We're student first, we're student first. And then it would come down to it, and you go, but are we really? Because some of the decisions that we're making, if we were really putting the student at the center of the decision, we would make a completely different decision on this policy or whatever. So one of the things that I did in my C org was every meeting had to lead with some kind of student story. You know, like every meeting started with student story, because the repetitive nature of we're always going to lead with a student. If we're student first, then the student goes first before any of the actual business, right? We're going to talk about some life we changed or something that happened. And it did start to put things in perspective for us when you really lead with those things, right? Because you could be having a bad day and you're just going to talk about the student who went to milk a cow with you. And that becomes a really, really good story, and it changes the entire tone of a meeting. And I think that institutions need to think that way. If we are centered on the student, how do we put them first? What do you think, Steve?
Yeah. Well, I really like the idea. What you're talking about is let's tell a story, or let's talk to a student. Let's hear exactly what their perspective is at the beginning of every meeting. And then you have that at least milling around in your head. This will sound a little bit sappy too. I've got two kids. I sent them both to college. I know how I wanted my own children to be treated when they went, and that's how I want every one of our students to be treated here at Chico State. And I'm really proud of. I don't have to convince people here of that. They've been doing it. They did it long before I got here, and we're just trying to keep it rolling. It is very powerful when you do what you're talking about, centering. What do our students need? How do we best provide that? How do we best work with them? They've chosen to come be with us. How do we respect that and uphold that?
Sorry, I'm having a coughing fit. Andrew,
Okay.
Any other questions for Steve before we wrap up and give him our final two?
Yeah, I just, we talked about the setting and the environment. So now that you have a whole batch of graduates, when you have people who reflect and students who are graduating, when they reflect and share things with you, what do they fall in love with? What have they fallen in love with at Chico State when they're saying, I'm moving on and I'm going to miss X, Y, and Z? What do people fall in love with the community there, even if it's off campus, on the campus, the culture? What do the students who end up attending fall in love with Chico State?
Everything you just said. In fact, they don't all leave. Many of our students who come want to stay, and they want to stay in Chico. We're an old campus. We were founded in 1887. We got old brick buildings, a beautiful campus. A creek runs right through it. Our setting is picturesque. Our people they're kind and nice to each other, and they get a really, really great educational experience where they're working. One of the videos I did was with one of our chemistry professors who does battery research, but it was all about the students that she's bringing into the lab to try to develop new batteries. Our students, they go away really, really happy with their experience here as a Chico State student, as somebody who lives in Chico. If I send you a Chico State hat and you start wearing it around in airports, people are going to talk to you because Wildcats are everywhere, and they all love their experience here, and they want to share that with you while you're wearing it. It is just a really, really great community, and they get a top-notch education in any number of ways. That's what they fall in love with. This the culture and the climate.
That was such a good question. I have to change mine because usually mine's, what else do you want to say about Chico State? But the way you asked that question was truly masterful, Dr. Kim. Well done. I'm going to steal it gratuitously. Steal it. I'm announcing I'm stealing it. So to finish us off, we do want to know, Steve, crystal ball moment, what you see for the future of the industry. What do you see for higher ed?
Well, our jobs are still here, right? Our job is to help students do what they want to do. They're going to be with us for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 years, however long it is that we get to interact with them. We're going to continue doing that, and because our students need it, and it will be different. When we talked about AI earlier. Oftentimes I say, and people ask me, "What's AI going to be like?" I tell them, well, by the time I finish this sentence, the answer is going to be different because it's changing so rapidly. That's going to be true, and it will continue to be true. So what will be the same is what we do. We're here for our students, we're here for each other, and we're here for our region. What will be different is how we do it. And that's kind of the exciting part of figuring out how do we do it in a different environment and different circumstances, but still continue doing the stuff that we all came to this industry to do.
Well, the timing of this is a really inspiring episode. Andrew, what'd you think of this first co-hosting gig of yours that you have with me?
Oh no, all I know is you're great at what you do. Thanks for having me as a wing host today. So no, this is great. I'd say if you don't think I'm a stumbling block, I'd be glad to come back, and I'd love to do more episodes with you down the road. This is very fascinating. I get to see the students' perspective, and to me, it's very fascinating to hear things from Steve and the president's perspective, because it's cool to see both sides of the coin. I'm interacting with students almost every day, and I'm interacting with the healthcare clinicians on campus. So it's very fascinating for me to see a different side of kind of the academic space. So,
my guest co-host, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Andrew Kim. He's director of psychiatry at Timely Care, and we will have him back again. You'll see his face and hear his voice. And before I outro you, Steve, I want to say, I hope you felt it too. On the eve of another graduation that you're going to, boy, is it good for us to take some time and celebrate the work of higher education, which we don't do enough, which is why the public has lost trust. Not because the work we do doesn't have value, but because we didn't tell a powerful enough story over time. And that's what this podcast is about, is telling the important stories of our leaders that are leading these amazing institutions, producing many, many successful graduates. Higher ed absolutely has value. And for anybody that thinks it doesn't, I'd like to know what that sounds like when you talk to your kids. So Steve, last words to you, and we hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Andrew. I did enjoy myself very, very much. But I want to thank you for actually telling the story that you're telling. Higher ed matters, college matters, and it matters to millions of people every single year. And that's the story we need to continue talking about. Talk to those students that have changed their lives because they got a college degree. They changed their families' lives, and they changed their communities because they've been able to change the trajectory of what they're doing and how they're doing it. The vast majority of college students are having tremendous return on investment for the time that they spend with us. And so that's the story we need to continue talking about. So thank you for doing it. Thank you for doing this podcast and continuing to amplify that message. It matters.
There he is, everyone. He's our guest. No, he's your guest. He's Dr. Steve Perez. He is the president of Chico State. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just upped.
Did you buy your tickets yet? Higher Education's first podcast conference is coming July 12th. Go to higheredpodcon.com, higheredpodcon.com. Get your tickets.